Hi guys, and welcome to Spill the Beans. I'm here today with Sunny.
Hey y'all, nice to meet y'all. Wait, we're not meeting. We're just hanging out here.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So, I think the first question that I have is, what is your definition of polyamory?
So and I just want to preference this whole spiel by saying I'm not an expert in any way. Everybody's experience with any sort of polyamory, ethical non-monogamy, or RA, which is relationship anarchy, just anything that doesn't go with the status quo. There's no such thing as an expert. That's why we have marriage counselors and relation counselors, and therapists that are still not 100% experts. So just prefacing that. But my definition to me is kind of just the ability to love more than one person, whether that's a physical relationship, companion relationship, just friendship, family. Those are still considered types of love, and people don't really think about that when they think of polyamory. So that's just kind of my definition, the ability to just love more than one person. But I think I just lean more towards the romantic sense of the definition.
Okay, so how long have you been polyamorous?
So I knew something was up, kind of during sixth grade. I remember just feeling so sad and beating myself up because I had feelings for more than one person. And, I was in sixth grade. I wasn't really worried about sex. I was worried about boys and girls and how to fit in and what my role was being a partner and things like that. Because everybody was getting their boyfriends and girlfriends and I was figuring out my way. But I would get so just torn between long-standing relationships during sixth grade. We were kids, so not as serious as you would think, but I would be just so upset, crying to my mom, how do I know who to pick? I would be just in tears, and she would always just tell me just go with what makes you happy. She would never say, oh, pick so-and-so, which is great for a mom to do, but I would still have that burning thought in my head. And so I knew something was up. And of course, because of society, I was just wow, I'm a slut. I can't make up my mind. I'm just an awful person. I'm a whore. But again, nothing about sex. It was just genuinely just love, puppy love, being a kid.
Yeah.
And so I knew something was different, but I didn't really pursue it really until I was about 22. So about 7 years or so, I've been officially on the books poly right now and actually practicing it.
So how did that come about? And this is kind of a surprise question. I'm kind of sneaking this one in there because I just thought of it. But when you finally decided okay, I'm going to be polyamorous, how did that go? I mean, were you partnered at the time? If so, how did you tell your partner?
Yeah, so like I said, I kind of had it just kind of in the back of my head that something was up. I had friends that were, more open-minded, things like that. And they kind of I kind of had windows into their lifestyles and would see it every now and then. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't exactly I wasn't surrounded by the lifestyles until I am now, because I sought out those communities and I found those people. But during that time, I just kind of saw little snippets of people's different lifestyles. And I was oh, that's interesting that they do it that way. Oh, well, they seem really happy doing it that way. Well, that works for their family better, actually, now that I see them happier from where they were. And so kind of seeing that, just we're human, we compare. So I kind of saw snippets of it, but I was currently in a partnership with someone. I was extremely depressed in that situation. They were not the most social person. I'm a social butterfly, and I think I got a different interpretation of who they were when I first met them. So once we got comfortable in the relationship, a year and a half in, I started to realize that he didn't want to do anything I wanted to do. I had to beg this person to even go to a park. It's just that level of closed-mindedness. So I was really, really depressed during that time. And then I found out he had cheated on me. And to me, I was just we were very open and honest. And I like to think that. And so I just flat out told him, I hate to do this, and you're going to look at this as an ultimatum because you want to stay. But to me, I want you gone. And you are begging me to stay. So this looks like an ultimatum. It sounds like an ultimatum. And I hate ultimatums. But I wanted him gone. And I was like, I already had made my mind that at the end of that relationship, I was going to open that new chapter for myself and be open. That's kind of what I knew at that point was open. So I was like, if you do want to stick around, and by all means, like, try one more time here. Because it was, like, one of the last straws, too. I was like, if you really want to try, then just know that I'm going to be pursuing something different in my life and trying something different. And I want to see other people. And, like, if you want to stick around and be, like, a friends with benefits situation or just, like, a glorified roommate, like, sure, whatever. Let's do that. And literally within that same weekend, he already broke his own rules, quote unquote, because again, baby Polly. A lot of people swing towards making rules. I call them boundaries, but he broke his own rule that he put in place for me because he assumed when I said I wanted to see other people, he was like, oh, she's gonna go back to her ex, which I didn't. He did within that same week. So,
and that was one of the rules, like, don't go back to people from the past.
And that was his rule, which, I mean, everyone has their own boundaries, but, like, that was his rule. He was like, I'm going to say a rule. And I was like, okay, whatever. So he broke his own rule, which was hilarious. But that was my first experience. I was technically, I would say I was technically in a relationship, but he went with it and he took advantage of it. So,
wow.
I mean, there's the first step.
And so people can cheat in poly relationships.
Oh, hell yeah. Cheating is lying. Period. Hiding. You look at monogamous relationship, you look at someone's husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend cheating on them, it's because they're lying about something. They're hiding something. If you tell somebody, hey, we're open and, you can sleep with so-and-so and I'll sleep with so-and-so. Maybe they sleep with each other together, whatever. They're honest about it and they're saying it. There's no cheating. If someone has a problem with it later in time, hopefully they'll say something and say, hey, can we actually scale this back? Or can we take a step back? Can we close down for a second? Whatever the situation is, however it works for them. They can change their mind as long as they're telling them. There's no room for cheating. There's no room for deceiving,
Yeah. So what do you think about the statement, cheaters should just be poly?
I think I have heard that a couple times. I would say keep the cheaters out of the fucking poly community because we don't need more of them. There's already so many people that just take advantage of people that do just want to love more than one person, whatever color that looks like for them. There's so many people that just take advantage of it. So no, keep them the fuck away from us. They have inner work to do. They have lots to grow on. They need to stay away from any people in general until they fix that.
So what is your current relationship structure like?
So I'm considered a V, like the letter V, or a hinge, as people like to call, there is 2 outlets to me. So I am, I have 2 nesting partners. I actually have a monogamous partner and a polyamorous partner. So I am their connection, but they are not connecting. So we're not a triad or, any sort of throuple or anything like that. So I just have 2 separate relationships, but I'm just the connecting part.
So how does polyamory work with a monogamous partner?
So I told him on the 3rd date that I already had an existing partner. So whenever I met my monogamous partner, who I've been with for 6 years now, but whenever I had met him, I had a boyfriend for I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 months, sorry. So it was still a fresh relationship with that person. That person was open to poly and doing his own thing. And so when it came time to meeting my monogamous partner, I was just like, hey, I just want to let you know, we've been talking, for a couple weeks. This is our 3rd date, sitting down having dinner. And I was like, I really like you. And I just want to let you know, you probably have a hint or 2 already. But, I do have a partner right now. And he kind of just looked at me like there was a but coming. I was going to be like, so we have to break it off. Or, we're just friends or something. So I just flat out was like, are you okay with that? And he was just like, oh, you would date me? And I'm like, yeah, I would date you. I'm open, I'm poly. And so at that point he was just like, oh, well, I've never done that before, but yeah, I want to see where this goes. And just like that, on the third date, I was just like, oh, okay, sick. So it's been like a little bit different because I used to be monogamous, so like I understand what the necessity for reassurance are for those times of uncertainty
Yeah.
and confusion. And communication is just the basis of any type of relationship. In polyamory, I have just learned even more the intensity, the necessity for being clear, honest, blunt. So when it came to any sort of confusion, I laid out everything like, this is what it looks like, ABC, and always leaving that door open and table open for communication. Like, hey, if you have a problem with it, you can tell me this is not right for you, and it will be sad, and I will miss you, but your happiness comes first.
Yeah, definitely. So, what do you say to people who don't believe in poly or don't support it or have, think that your lifestyle is questionable?
Um, I would probably say like, um, I'm not in love with them. I'm not dating them. I'm not, sleeping with them. I'm not cooking and cleaning with them. I'm not, sharing finances. So their opinion really doesn't matter to me as much. I'm just like, I come from the South. So there's already so many, societal pressures and limits already just on women and feminine presenting people, gay people. So I'm just already just past that point.
Yeah.
I've shared it with a couple of coworkers, like in a retail setting, and like I've had some people turn their nose up and like ask me questions, like in a rude way, and some that are just genuinely curious about how it works for me because I look extremely happy. So I'm just like, if they, like my family is amazing. They have been super supportive throughout my entire process. All of it. So like I could give a shit what other people think. I'm blessed to have a support system that cares and loves both of my partners, and we have vacations together like any other relationship. And so I just really don't care about anybody else's opinion, but if they support me, then that's awesome.
Awesome. So, another thing that I wanted to ask too is so how does it work when you want to get more serious with one partner, but you're already kind of like maybe you have a live-in partner, or I don't know, maybe there's a more of a level of commitment with one person than there is with another one. Do you just reevaluate the relationship at that point, or how do you handle that?
So most poly people that I've ran into that have commitments are, what we're referring to as like typical commitments, like marriage, children, and then maybe like mortgages, things like that, things that require a lot of commitment. I'm not like against marriage by any means. I think marriage is awesome. I love parties, and I love the ability to like gather everybody and be like, hey, I love this person. Everybody come look at, like, we love each other. Like, I love that. And then there's also like a ton of benefits when it comes to marriage, like taxes, again, mortgage. I'm a homeowner. Just big, large purchases and like traveling, military, things that are just like a whole lot easier if you're married by law. So when it comes to commitments, there are people out there that are already established, married, have kids, and open their relationship and have other partners. And for them, that's going to be a lot more of, I guess, of more of a tedious situation because there is children involved. So a lot of people kind of look down on it, but there is just more people loving those kids. Like people talk about it takes a village. Like, hey,
It does.
the village just looks a little bit different. That's all. So it's not harming anybody unless you look at it ugly. That's on you. So when it comes to like commitment things, I'm very neutral on those kinds of things like marriage. I have considered marrying one of my partners, and then whenever I met my secondary partner, who we're now going on 2.5 years together, considered marrying them also. And the only reason I've considered marrying both of them was because of citizenship to other countries that I plan on living on in the future. I am the homeowner, me, myself. So I did that all on me with my savings. So I would prefer to keep like that part separate. But if it came down to marrying either one of my partners, that's a hell of a lot easier
Yeah.
with mortgage. So like there's more income on paper, it's a faster process, whatever it is. I could see that being a benefit, but like I'm not jumping at it because it's just like I have divorced friends. I have friends that have told me that it's just so hard to even change your name back. Like, and that sounds awful. And I am so anti-possessive, anti-ownership that I don't want anyone to have something over me, a piece of paper over me. So like I'm very hesitant with commitments like that, but I'm very like me my own, you your own, next to me, next to mine. So when it comes to commitments, I think that's more of a like again a societal thing. Like you have steps in life that you have to complete that you think of when you think of monogamy.
Yeah.
Totally different in poly. I feel like it's like you're trying to achieve things next to each other and be a team instead of more of unified, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we touched on this earlier, but there are different types of polyamory, right?
Yeah. Again, I prefaced this saying I was not an expert in any way because, yeah, there are so many types of polyamory. There are so many types of ethical non-monogamy. There's so many types of RA, which is relationship anarchy. When I say many types of relationship anarchy, I mean no types of relationship anarchy. They are very do not care about anything, no boundaries, no expectations. So like that's a little radical for me because I come from a monogamous background and also I am healing from religious trauma too. So like I still have that people pleasing aspect in my head to where I still want to make others happy before me. So again, that's something that I'm healing within myself. But when it comes to my type, it works for me. But there are so many on the spectrum of those types of relationships outside of the norm. It's so overwhelming. But like I've had there's something called polysaturated to where you have too many partners where you can't make time for yourself. You can't attend to things that you're responsible for, like pets, hygiene, your own bills and things like that. That's kind of what I picture as polysaturated. You don't have the mental capacity, the space for more than that. 2 is good right now. I will say that. It comes with its own trials and tribulations, but I'm still out there looking because there is different types of relationship types. So like I've had a comet partner, which is like comet like the star. So like you only see them every now and then. They could be from out of state or out of town, and when they're in, they'd be like, hey, you want to go grab dinner? And you have just a fleeting romance with them. It's just something
That sounds exciting.
yeah, just on the whim. So it's like kind of like a long distance lover, but again, doesn't have to be sexual. Could be just companions. I've had an asexual partner before, and it was just they liked physical affection still, so like cuddling, holding hands, which I love those things, and going grocery shopping together, helping them through big feats in life. So it's like it's really just like an extension of a really good friend. So there's all sorts. I can't even begin to name all of them because I don't have that under my belt, like with that knowledge, but definitely feel free to research it because there's like just so many types. So many types. It's ridiculous. Like lists.
So, how do you navigate trust in your relationships?
Just like any other relationship. So, like, yeah, just circling back to communication and honesty. So, if you think of your current relationship, if you're in one, your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, how do you navigate communication with them? Are they a closed off person? Are you a private person? Do you like to explain your emotions? Are you explosive? Do you need time for yourself to, I don't know, unload from work? You know, do you have that safe space with your partner and safe time with your partner? Do you, you know, how do you navigate chores together? It's the same old thing. I think people just kind of expect polyamory to be like, oh, someone's definitely tricking somebody here, you know? And it's really just unfortunate because, like, you can look at a monogamous couple and maybe one is generally more attracted to you. You're like, oh, they're definitely tricking the other one. Like, it just doesn't matter. There's going to be outside judgment in all colors, but, like, my trust is the same as any other trust monogamous relationship I've had before. Just communicating. Just tell me what you're doing. Like I said, I've had partners that have cheated on me in polyamory, and it's like, bro, I'm literally like the coolest girlfriend you've probably ever had because I'm telling you you can do whatever you want. Just tell me you're doing it, or
Right.
you know, just set me up. Just let me know because I want to protect myself or protect my assets or my body or my finances or my home, my family. Just be honest with me. Don't steal from me. You know, don't lie.
And that leads into my next question. So, has trust ever been broken before in any of your relationships? And if so, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, absolutely, it has been. Because I've been practicing polyamory, I have bumped into just a lot of like bad people. I mean, not bad people, but just people that have probably not healed or weren't ready to navigate with someone new, and then in turn hurting them, hurting me. So a lot of experiences have been because someone was fetishizing me, and what I mean by that is they might have had a girlfriend that maybe they wanted to spice things up. Unicorn hunters is what I'm talking about. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but the polyamorous community, E&M community, don't really take kindly to unicorn hunters because 9 times out of 10 it is a couple just bored, just trying to bring excitement to their life. And again, I try to bring benefit of the doubt, and hopefully they're more experienced than they tell you. At that point, going into something with them, just getting to know them, you can kind of see the red flags. They have what's called like a veto, which is if one of the partners doesn't like you or in some way, they cut off everything. So, like, if the boyfriend likes me more and he's like, hey, she's really cute, and the wife's like, nope, fuck that, I'm jealous. She has to be uglier than me or smaller than me, or she has too much money. I don't like her. Cut off contact. Just everything. And that hurts, especially if you've made some sort of established relationship already. So you're talking like 5 months already. You've already told them Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and you see them, you know, around the same mutual friend circles. That hurts because at that point they viewed you as an object, and they're like, you're not good enough for both of us, or one person thinks you're too good. And so, like, I've been hurt by people like that, and navigating it is, again, just like any other relationship, just getting back on my own 2 feet, recognizing those red flags, and looking for them a mile away the next time I come across people that are similar.
Yeah, and that leads into my next question. Have you ever been in a compromising situation, not necessarily because of polyamory, but because of people misusing or misrepresenting polyamory?
Oh, hell yeah. No, I've had people just flat out lie to their partners, and them telling me, like, oh, yeah, so-and-so is okay with you coming over while they're out of town. I'm just like, oh, fantastic. Like, that's great. I've done those situations with me and a standing partner. Like, they lived with me and they were out of town. I was like, hey, I'm going to have so-and-so over. And they're like, okay, cool. So to hear that from somebody else and, like, realize it's not the same situation, like, yeah, I was being a part of a bigger lie that was in turn hurting someone later on, and me not knowing anything about it. Oh, I DM'd her so fast. I told her immediately. I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but so-and-so invited me over, and I'm kind of getting, like, some weird vibes right now. You know, is this cool? And she was just like, no, it's not. And then just stop contact. I'm blocked from both of them, and I'm just like, awesome. Like, all that for literally nothing. So
yeah, I actually had a situation like that. It was way before I met my husband, but pretty much I can't say any names or really give away any revealing information, but pretty much the guy lied about their situation, about how open they were, what rules, boundaries they had. And somebody ended up getting hurt in the process. And it really sucked because I was friends with both of those people.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to tell her myself, but he had manipulated the situation in a way.
You were the bad guy.
Where, yeah, like, I was at their house, he took me home and was like, you don't need to be here when I tell her, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and next thing I know, I'm getting a phone call that's just, like, screaming.
Blowing up in your face.
I was like, I'm sorry. Like, that's all that I could say. And it really sucked. And when we're done recording, I'll tell you the story, because it's, like, pretty fucking wild. But yeah, that's what happened with me.
Sounds familiar. Sounds really familiar.
Yeah, and it sucks, you know, when you're put in a position like that, and you're just kind of like...
It's so easy to slut shame, you know, whoever it is they're pointing it at too, because it's 2 against 1 at that point, or two against, you know, however long they have a standing relationship, they looking at you as the bad guy. Yeah. So slut shaming comes in so much quicker, and it's like, well, one of y'all had that already in place there, thinking process, you know, one of y'all had that in your head that you were going to do that to your partner. So there's not a bad guy when you're lying to somebody and getting them on board with it. Like, you're the manipulator.
Yeah. Exactly. So, next question. Are there any set rules in a polyamorous relationship? And I know that you said you don't use the word rules. Yeah. I just totally forgot to change it in the Word document.
No, you're fine, you're fine. Yeah, most people think, like, rules, and I just, like... Yeah, it kind of grosses me out because then, again, circling back to, like, ownership, possessiveness, it is, like, a guideline that you are putting in place for someone to adhere to. So it's, like, it's really authoritative. You know, it's very, like, I'm the boss of you. And so boundaries is something you put in place for yourself. So, like, I don't want to have a partner that does X, Y, and Z. Not... my partner can't do X, Y, Z, you know? Yeah. So to me, those are fences that I've built inside myself. So my boundaries are kind of just like any other boundaries, you know, don't lie, don't hide things. I guess extra ones on the side are going to be like, if you are physically, you know, in contact with someone else sexually, you know, be open about it. You know, like, was there safe, you know, condoms involved? Were you safe? You know, what type of contact was it? That way you can protect your body, because I'm going to protect my body, but I'm not going to tell my partner they can't do, you know, this sexual position with somebody, or they can't kiss the person, because people are weird. Like, people will say, oh yeah, I let my wife sleep with other people, but, you know, she can't kiss them. Or, like, say I love you, and I'm just like, you're already there. What is the difference between saying I love you or, like, going to get coffee with them? Like, what is the difference at that point? Like, you're already doing one of the most dangerous things, you know, outside of your relationship. So, like, what are you doing there? So, like, that's my thing. It's just, like, that's probably something that's out of the norm. It's just, like, sexual health. I'm going to protect my body because this is the only one I got. And so, anytime there's physical contact outside of me and my partner, we don't talk intimate details. That's my boundary for myself. I would prefer not to hear intimate details. Just like really, just the nitty gritty. I don't want to hear that. I just want to hear medical terms, I guess. I don't know. Like, just being very short and simple with it. Yeah. So that way I can understand, like, oh, okay, there was maybe oral performed or something like that. Let's get tested. We already have something in place for me and my poly partner that we agreed to. Well, not agreed to, like, me and them were like, we're going to do this. They already had it in mind, and I already was going my own way with this idea, but I was like, all of my partners, I do want them to get tested. And they were like, I absolutely agree. I'm so relieved that you said that. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you're, like, on the right side of that, because a lot of people don't like talking about that. And I understand there's a lot of stigma with STIs and STDs, and we're going to break that stigma by being clear and open and communicative. So they were relieved. They were like, okay, thank God. That's so relieving. I'm like, yeah, cool. Because we're both open. So we need to make sure we're being safe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And something that I've seen a lot, too, is that I'll see poly people on the internet kind of, like, shitting on monogamous people and their relationships. What do you think about that?
Like, I came from monogamy, like, just like, I mean, no one's really like, born into polyamory unless they are. I mean, it's 2023, about to be 2024, so, like, maybe we'll start seeing more integrated into our society, but, like, starting fresh, like, majority of us, we see, Disney movies, we see the prince and the princess, we hardly see gay couples in the media and, like, presented to us, like, while we're growing and, like, understanding and developing. So, we all come from that binary, like figuring out I'm A and this is B and this is how it's supposed to be. So, honestly, like, things are going to change. Things are probably going to be better. But when you're going out of your way to stomp on somebody else's values that they hold near and dear to them and it makes them happy, I mean, that just sucks, plain and simple. But there are so many things, so many aspects that polyamory has just taught me. And I'm also going to include my monogamous partner on this because there are things that have just completely shifted his point of view to see my perspective. And it's not harming him. Mm-hmm. It's not torturing him. It's not, poisoning his mind to become a poly person. We are 6 years in. He does not want to be poly. He's already, he's already explained that to me. I've already told him, if that ever changes, we can talk about it. Like, you just let me know. If someone crosses your path and you're like, hey, I want to try it. Let's just talk. That's all. And so he always knows that he can change his mind if he wants to. And that's the beauty of it. But he doesn't. And nothing I have done has, like, coerced him into doing something he doesn't want to do. I would hate to do that to my partner, ever make him feel uncomfortable. So, like, just learning from a poly person's perspective, he's learned my like, aversion from possessiveness. Like, I was controlled by my previous partners. I couldn't wear certain things. I couldn't talk to certain people. No guy friends. Like, that was out of the question. Couldn't go drinking with friends because then I would be weak at that point. Like, it was just very subversive, like, very submissive. So he understands from where I came from and how, like, when he met me, he was like, you're just like this butterfly. You're so beautiful. Like, nothing ties you down. You're so wild. And, like, he knows that. And he just loves me for, like, who I am. And that I have the ability to be creative and different from where we started, like, or where I started, like, as a monogamous person. So he sees the difference. And so he himself is, like, not a possessive person. Even if he is monogamous, that's just a relationship preference. People kind of ingrain monogamy with being jealous and, like, jealousy is romantic. Like, oh, my boyfriend's mad because the other guy at the gas station looked at me and, like, now he's punching a hole in my drywall. Like, it's like, if people look at those things like romantic and, like, sexy and, like, someone's desiring me, and it's been ingrained into us. So that's just kind of, like, something that polyamory has taught me.
Speaking of jealousy, how do you define jealousy in your relationships and navigate it?
She's very much alive, I feel like that's just something that, just like envy, getting jealous of your neighbor's new car, it's always going to be there. It's just that little voice that you maybe have tamed her a little bit more. Maybe she's not as loud. Maybe she's more, like, simple and is like, hey, who is that girl? And you're kind of just, like, in your head, like, oh, well, that's so-and-so. And, like, my partner's already told me ABC. So, like, that's all I need to know because that's not my life. And so I feel like jealousy is very defining of myself. If it ever does come up and I feel that heat in my throat and the bottom of my stomach, and I'm like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. It's easier to identify now because I know who the fuck she is now. And when I see her, I'm like, what's the source? Where is this coming from? Why am I jealous of my neighbor's new car? It's because I don't put effort in my car and I'm just putting Band-Aid solutions. I really need to save up my money and fix that transmission. Or why am I jealous of that girl talking to my partner at the bar? Because she's really pretty and maybe I should just tell her that she's pretty and just, like, get that out of the way. Like, you have to find the source. So when I find jealousy, it's not, escape from it, kill her with fire. It's just hang out with her and know where she's coming from, because it's 9 times out of 10, it's just insecurity. It's just something that you're like, hey, maybe I just need to tell my partner. Maybe they could just reassure me that what I'm thinking is just, like, weird, off the wall. And yeah, it's just more communication.
You know, I really like that description of jealousy.
Yeah.
That kind of personifying it.
She's kind of your friend if you think about it. She's like that nagging friend in the friend group that no one wants to listen to, but once you do, you're like, "Oh, I see where she's coming from." It's just like a wounded inner child. You just want to figure out what she's talking about and help her.
So, what are some common misconceptions that people have about polyamory?
Um Coming back around, fetishizing my lifestyle to fit their narrative. Everyone normally just looks at me, that like I'm a freak, that I'm like so sexual all the time, and it's just like I'm laughing now because I'm like I'm pretty vanilla, and I'm not just saying like, oh, I only do missionary. No, like I'm demisexual, and there's another term coming at you, but demisexual is if I don't have like a romantic relationship or an established friendship with somebody, if I don't know them, it's not happening. And by it's not happening, it can mean sex. It can be meaning I don't want to go grocery shopping with them. Maybe I don't invite them in my home. Maybe I don't go to the same parties as them or go to the dog park with them. Like, it's just I don't have an establishing preference with that person. So demi-romantic or demisexual, if I don't have any sort of something with that person, I'm not attracted to them, just point blank. So
I'm demisexual as well, so
yeah.
I totally get that.
And it's pretty normal, like to have friends that are not demisexual or not demi-romantic. They're cool with, one night stands, fleeting romances like that. And that's cool. Kudos to them. They have more extrovertedness than I do. So like they have that preference built into them. I just don't. I need to know somebody before I just pursue anything with them. And mine is just, I move snail slow. I want to be friends first. I want to know who the person is. I want to know your favorite color when you were a kid, and like, what did you like to do with your parents? And just like, I can't jump into it. But again, just my preference. I'm not going against anybody else's, but that is the common theme when it comes to poly people. We're just constantly demonized by, we're just trying to collect them all and have sex with everybody, and it looks good on paper. And it's just really hurtful because that just couldn't be farthest from the truth. Like, sex is just like the bottom of my list.
Yeah.
So, it's just not me.
So how do you manage communication with multiple partners?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, so I have two nesting partners, meaning they both live with me in my home. We eat meals together. I just like have recently started reminding them that like, yes, I'm the hinge. Yes, I'm the V, but that doesn't necessarily mean that like I speak for both of them. Because I have things going on. Like I have work, I have school, I have my dogs, I have my family and my friends, my life. And so when it comes to like choosing dinner, like I've complained to them so many times. Like I am always like the decision maker. Like I'm sure a lot of y'all can relate to this, but like someone's like, oh, what do you want to eat for dinner? And they just stare at you and you have to make up the decision. Like, it just happens to me twice in my home. And sometimes they're sitting right next to me and both doing it. So I'm like, I don't know. What do y'all want? And so like, I've told them a couple times that like, y'all have each other's phone numbers. Sometimes I'm out with friends. Y'all need to discuss things with each other. Like I have a 2-story house. So they live on 1 story each. And so like, sometimes one of them doesn't come out for air because they're playing video games all day and the other one's working, so I'm just like, y'all have that communication bridge, please use it. I am not a messenger boy. Like, if you want pizza and I'm out of town, just, text so-and-so like, hey, I want pizza. Do you want pizza? And like, it's just as simple as that. That has helped me immensely because I think it was like, they didn't want to be like rude to each other. So they're just like, yeah, we're roommates. And it'll be a year in April or June. So like it's kind of, honestly, my calendar app has really saved my life because I have terrible memory. So like if one partner is like, hey, you want to go get dinner Friday? I'm like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. I'm free on Friday. Jot it into my calendar. And then my other partner is like, hey, I'm really looking at that new movie coming out. Like, do you want to go Friday night? I'm like, what time Friday night? And I like figure it out. Like, it's just like being popular or like having lots of friends that are very, adventurous, or like multiple family members in different parts of town, like all scheduling. So, I mean, communication is just like any other relationship. Like,
Yeah.
nothing really super different, but the calendar app has definitely helped me from being torn apart.
I bet.
Yeah.
So, what resources have you found helpful in navigating being poly?
I mean, honestly, I've done a lot of self-research. As I said earlier, I had friends that were kind of coming from different walks of life, just slowly, becoming in an environment where I had people that were more open-minded. So I was seeing snippets every now and then, but like learning from them, talking to them, finding community. There's a really awesome Facebook community. Sounds like accidentally polyamory, and where we just kind of share memes of like, it's honestly, we kind of twist a lot of the memes that are like people cheating on each other memes, but like, we're kind of just like, you'll have to look at the page. There's some really good memes on there, but, we still talk to each other like on Facebook, and we talk about our problems and like help each other. And, there's different types of polyamorous structures that people are all kind of blended together on that group. So you're going to hear different perspectives and kind of change your mind maybe a little bit, like, oh, maybe I'm going about this maybe in a little more of a restricted way. Maybe I should look at it from this perspective. There's some interesting TikTok couples on, there's some poly groups there, but I found a lot of them are kind of, when they're popular like that, it's more shock value, I find, and most of them are trying to bring unicorn hunting to a positive light, and it's just kind of gross sometimes. I know it works for a lot of people, and that's fine, but long-term wise, it is objectifying of an outside person, so I don't particularly agree with it. That is probably the only thing I've personally frowned upon, but again, I said earlier, I give the benefit of the doubt because there are situations that do work and have long-lasting relationships that look like unicorn honey from the outside, but it's just, that's where you're going to see a majority of the resources out there, unless you're Googling like articles, and like people have actually written books about it, like relationship therapists that, specialize in polyamory and E&M. So just stuff like that. But it's really just been self-researching and just trial and error. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really.
What advice would you give to someone who's interested in exploring polyamory?
Don't force it, for yourself. If you're really trying to impress, maybe you met a new friend or a new couple that is really interesting. Don't ever force yourself to do something that you're uncomfortable with. It is not for everybody. And I'm not saying that like I'm better than you or I'm stronger than you. It really is not for everybody. There are so many things involved with polyamory that put you out of your comfort zone so quickly. And I thrive off of it. I like learning something I couldn't do before and being like, wow, that was really wrong. And I blame it back on, religion and, put me in a certain way where I have to be a certain way for people. But don't ever force it, and just move as slow as possible. It's not all about sex. There are people out there that are poly just for the physical gratification of it, and that's great. I have friends like that. That works for them. And they're very happy. But just try not to focus on that aspect until maybe you're a little bit more tenured, because you can hurt a lot of people in that way. Because if you run into somebody who is not after that and you have the wrong interpretation of them, you can really hurt them and objectify them. So just, pace it, figure out who the person is before, if you are going after for a physical aspect, maybe bring that up maybe a little bit later. But just forcing into it, it only works if you're within that community. I feel like you can be more upfront and be like, hey, this is what I want. If you're in that community, if you have that friends, then yeah, it could work for you. But if you're just in society, like just raw dogging it like I was, just be as slow as possible. Make those friends first. And definitely watch out for guys that don't share everything with their partner, because you're going to end up hurting somebody else that's really, really cool. And you could possibly lose some friends over it too. People will look at you a little bit differently, but your people will come.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. I loved that conversation so much. Yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I want to hear about that story you told me about earlier, though.
Definitely. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have a submission, please email spillthebeans, beans with a Z, .podcast1 @gmail.com.
Bye.
Bye.